Let's talk about stats, baby. Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about all the stats that we could be. Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to share with you the stats for my experiment of writing a book in a week. Now if you don't know what I'm talking about, I'm going to have a playlist linked down below to the videos that came out a couple weeks ago where I wrote a book in a week. As of me filming this video, it's been almost 3 weeks since that experiment wrapped up, and it's given me some time to think, to mull things over, and today I'm going to talk to you about my stats, what that means for the experiment I'm going to do on November 1st, where I try to write a book in 24 hours, and things I learned from this experiment, which I guess also ties into the middle point. So let's just jump into it. Now we'll see if I have funny graphs, not exactly funny, but interesting graphs in general that I'll put on the screen, or if it's going to be me rambling off a bunch of numbers. We'll see. Either way, I'm going to try to go through it as quickly as I can because I don't want to spend the entire video on numbers. So let's do this. So the total amount of words that I wrote over these 7-day experiment was 62,751 words. In total, I spent 1,411 minutes sprinting, so that was my active writing time, which comes out to 23.52 hours. So almost 24 hours. So already off the bat, I wrote 62,000 words, almost 63,000 words in under 24 hours. That bodes well for the 24-hour writing experiment, but we're gonna get into that later on in this video. My average word count per day was 8,964 words, so less than I wanted it to be. I was aiming for about a 10k a day. Still pretty good though. My average words per minute was 44.47 words, and if I could keep that pace up for 24 hours in a row, I could write 64,041 words. I also did 72 sprints over these 7 days. The average sprint length was 19.6 minutes, roughly, and my average word count per sprint was 872 words. Now, if we backtrack just a little bit and we look at the 50,000 words that I want to write in the 24-hour stream that Bug and I are doing on November 1st, at the pace that I wrote this, it would take me 1,124 minutes, which is 18.7 hours. So in 19 hours, I theoretically could get this done, but that is writing at my max speed, the speed I kept up for this, for 19 hours. That doesn't mean breaks, and breaks are important. And I guess that sort of wraps up the stats portion of the video. That was faster and shorter than I thought it was going to be, but that's fine. So what did I learn from this experiment? Well, as you may remember, I also did a couple of other experiments in the middle of this. And my main goal was to write a book in a week, but then I also tried evening writing, and I tried morning writing, and I tried writing to old live streams and my own live streams, and tried sort of a Pomodoro method and so on. And it was a lot of fun to try these different experiments. Do I feel like I gave them all a fair chance? Not really. The Thursday video, which was when I wrote late in the evening, I was not really there for it. Plus, I just picked out a new pair of glasses that weren't working out, so it was just weird, and I was tired and I wanted to go to bed at like 10 like I normally do, but I stayed up until 4 a.m. Didn't fall asleep until 5 a.m. which, not great. I really did enjoy the Pomodoro inspired method that I used for my stream on the Wednesday, where I timed my breaks. I gave myself a break of like 7 to 8 minutes between each sprint, which meant that I could take a little bit of a step back, talk to the people who were there in the chat, and get my mind off it a little bit while also staying in the story, and also knowing that when this timer runs out, because I had the timer visible on the screen, when this timer runs out, I have to get back into it. That was good for me. Sometimes if I'm sprinting just on my own with no one else there, it's possible that I sometimes take breaks that are a little bit too long. On the other hand though, when I was watching old live streams, I was watching Brooks and Kate's and the Courtney projects, at least, I think maybe some other ones as well, I felt like those breaks were too long, and I feel like it's different for me depending on where I'm at. For this experiment, I wanted to get as many words as possible in as short of a period of time as possible. In a way, my deadline was a week, and I didn't want to spend every single hour, every single day writing those words, so I wanted to keep it snappier than that, I suppose. And I think if the live streams had been live when I was watching them, I wouldn't have been as bothered by the length of the breaks, because then I still would have been there in the chat and I could have talked to people and I could have engaged with people then and there. Now it was just me sitting there waiting with my fingers on the keyboard, waiting until the next sprint started. And I will admit that sometimes I skipped over the talking portion and went into the next sprint earlier than it actually started. But I think that's different if I'm writing live with a live stream, that was very minute live, or if I watch it after the fact. If I watch it after the fact, I think I'm gonna skip ahead and skip over more of the talking parts. Just in general, not saying the talking parts are bad in any way, and there are great conversations that can be had during them and that are had during them, but if my goal is to get a bunch of words out and I'm not able to interact with people live as it's happening, I think for the most part I'm just going to want to skip ahead to the next sprint. On the other hand, I also felt sometimes that my 5-minute breaks that I did one of the days when I was not streaming, that the 5-minute breaks were too short. I barely had a chance to record a clip or get a snack until it was time to get writing again, and that felt a bit stressful. So I think I gotta find what like my ultimate break is, but I think it's more than 5 minutes but less than like 20. It's somewhere in that zone. Again, the 7 to 8 minute ones that I did during my stream really worked for me, but different times, different, you know, situations. And also when I was doing my stream, I wasn't talking to anyone, like no one was responding to me live verbally, like I couldn't hear anyone else, which made me feel a lot of the time like I was just talking to myself. Especially with the StreamYard lag, it felt like I was just talking to myself. And there's only so much I can say to fill a 7-8 minute break, and so if it had been 10-15 minutes, I think that would have stressed me out. Whereas if I'm streaming with other people, which I do fairly frequently, the breaks can be longer than the sprinting. Several of the streams on Thursdays that Mark and I have been doing for a while, the breaks have definitely been longer than the sprinting time. But that's when you have someone to talk to, I think it's different, at least for me. So would I do this again? Well, the short answer is yes, I definitely would, with a few disclaimers. The reason I did this when I did was because I had a week off of work where I had no other plans. The only plans I had were that the 24-hour worldwide write-a-thon that Jessica was hosting was that weekend, the weekend I was ending my experiment, which, yes, it was plans, but it was writing plans. And so I was like, this is the perfect time to do this. I don't have work, I have no other obligations, I have lunchbox in the freezer. I don't have to do anything other than write these words. So that is a disclaimer, like I had all the time in the world for a week to do it. Secondly, I am a fast typer. I can type a lot of words in a short period of time. Not always good words, but my fingers do move very quickly, and yes, I will probably get problems with them in the future, but for right now they're working, and the fact that I can write a lot of words quickly is definitely helpful, but I'm not saying that that is something that you have to be able to do. I don't know if I could have gotten that done if I'd also have to go to work that week, especially since I have a pretty long commute, like half the week. But for the time I had, it worked out well. I do intend to try this again in the future. I don't have a whole week off in the future that I know of until like summer next year sometime, so probably not for a while. But I have been talking a bit to Orla Hart, she'll be linked down below, about trying to do something like this around Christmas, New Year's, around that period. I don't have a whole week off, I have like 4 days off in a row, but we've been talking about it, and I would like to try an experiment of writing a book in like 2 weeks, a book of the same-ish length as this one, but over a 2-week period, because I think that could work, maybe. I haven't done the math yet. I definitely couldn't write 8 hours a day on days that I'm also working, that would just not work. But the days where I don't commute, or the weekend, I could possibly get a lot of words done, maybe. It would be interesting to see, maybe when I do the second draft of this book. Maybe. And I guess that's a nice segue into what am I gonna do with this book? Where's it at? What do I think about it? Which I guess I didn't mention in the beginning of the video that I wanted to talk about, but I'm gonna talk about it. So I have a messy, rough, 0 draft, possibly first draft, possibly outline of a story. I haven't looked at it since I finished writing it, which again was about 3 weeks ago. I do remember that there were parts I thought were really good, or at least decent, and then some parts I thought were complete shit. I don't think I will have changed my mind about these ones. I may have changed my mind about these ones. So I haven't looked at it in 3 weeks, like I said. Tomorrow, as of me filming this, I have a call with my critique partner who hasn't read it, but we're gonna talk writing and stories and all that. She is currently reworking one of her stories that I read before, so we're gonna talk about that as well. But I'm eager to tell her about this story and see what she thinks of it, what can be done. Things I really like with this story is the sirens. They didn't get as much page time as I feel like they should, but what I made sirens into, if that makes sense. I really like the way that they look, the way that they act, the way that they, you know, go about their lives. I really, really liked. And there are some magical elements involved in the story, which I'm a little scared of writing that kind of thing. I'm not really used to writing that thing, a little scared of doing it, but I have been enjoying it. But there are also like massive things I know I need to change. For example, I became aware at some point during the writing that I need to start at least one of the characters' story way further back, because she makes decisions before the story, as I now have it, starts, that really, really, really impact her plotline, but also how that interacts with the others. I find it really difficult to talk about a story like this when I don't want to be too vague, because that doesn't give you anything. Me saying, oh, the person goes to the place and does the thing, that could be anything. But I also don't want to go into great detail because I don't want to spoil it, I guess. But either way, I am excited to work on it. I've been putting it off, as you can tell, but I also thought it was good to let it sit for a little bit. Now, ideally, you should probably let it sit for like a couple months before you go back into it, but since this was so rough and since it was so messy, I'm thinking that if I have the time today, as I'll be filming this, I will look through it, not read it, but just look through it and make a little note of like what happened in each scene, so that I have something to present to my critique partner tomorrow, so we can look at it. And also, I've started to read Save the Cat Writes a Novel since I wrote this book. And if you've been here for a while, you know that I'm not an outliner. I like to pants my way through things and I basically see what's coming right ahead, but I don't see the whole picture until I'm far into it, which I'm going to talk more about at a later point because that can be quite bad. But for me, it sort of works. Either way, I've been reading Save the Cat Writes a Novel. I'm not very far in yet, but I'm going to keep going with it. And since reading that, I've actually had a few more ideas for this story, things I could change, things I could make better. The whole B-story character, B-side story character, be a character, and a little bit about what the character wants versus what they need. So I'm excited to keep working on it. I'm gonna update you as I do, probably. I'm excited and nervous. But for the last section of this video, what is the plan for the 24-hour write-a-thon on November 1st with Bug? I don't know. We're still gonna release like planning streams in October. We're gonna talk about that soon, her and I, and release when we're gonna do them. But I think I could do it. My two main concerns, I should say, with the 24-hour thing. 3 main concerns. One being sick, which means that staying up 24 hours is just a bad idea in general, and also having your brain be all foggy and not really functioning like it should. 2, I am worried that I'm gonna run out of motivation, inspiration, excitement for the project. I think I'm still gonna be excited by the idea of writing 50,000 words in 24 hours. That to me is still really exciting, but I worry that I'm gonna run out of fuel for the story, or just run out of fuel in general for typing. And as of right now, I don't know what we're working on. You guys are gonna get to help us figure that out during the streams in October, so that's gonna be super fun. But I am excited about the idea of doing it, I just can't really prepare for what I'm gonna write. And 3rd, I am a bit scared for the streams. I'm gonna enjoy the streams, I'm pretty sure, and we have some really great people who are gonna join us and co-host, but I am worried that we're gonna talk too much and write too little, and that will be sort of the downfall. So I'm a bit worried that we're gonna talk so much that we don't write as much, which means that I won't get to 50k. We are all there to write, and we are gonna try to keep it writing focused, but I know what it's like. You get talking about something and that's really interesting, and then ooh, I have an anecdote, and ooh, I have a story, and then you talk about things, and then time passes, and we are on a time crunch, and writing 50,000 words in 24 hours, even though my stats that I just read you looked pretty good, doesn't mean that's actually what will happen, because this is 24 hours of trying to do this in a row. And yes, while the writing could only take me 19 hours, which leaves 5 hours of talking and breaking and stuff, you know, you never know what's gonna happen. But I want to say a huge thank you to everyone who's watched this video, everyone who watched the week-long experiment I did. I got so many nice comments on that, and it was just really nice having you and seeing you enjoy it as much, sort of, as I did. And thank you for being here. I'm sorry that this video was a bit rambling all over the place. I think when I get too excited about something, I have a bit of a hard time calming down and talking slowly and, you know, all of that. But that's just what you get here, so I should stop apologizing for it. I will have links down below to some things I talked about in this video, so check those out if you want to. And I will see you later in an upcoming video. So thank you for watching. Bye.